Hi, this is Paul on the Timber Walkers channel. The project for the day is to build a rack slash garage slash shed for my two boats, mine and my wife's. So I'm going to give a brief overview of how I put this thing together. I have my plywood kayak that I built that I'd like to keep out of the weather. Originally I thought I would keep it in my regular garage, but for various reasons that didn't work out. So I've just had it sitting on sawhorses, somewhat protected but a little bit more exposed than I'd like it to be. So thought I would build a double-decker rack. So here's my wife's kayak, and that will go on the top rack. Now, since the kayaks are going to be stored right side up, I will have to put walls and a roof on this little rack. The other thing about having walls is it will give it quite a bit more structural stability. As it is right now, it is pretty wobbly. As usual, I took the approach of bring home some lumber and start building without much of a plan. I did make a little bit of a sketch, for whatever that's worth. These bunks here on which the kayaks will rest, especially the bottom one where my plywood kayak will sit, I plan to cover with probably the same type of carpet material that they use for the bunks on boat trailers, so it'll slide easily and not mess up the paint on the bottom of my plywood kayak. I had some old outdoor carpet that I used to cover the bottom bunks or slides or skids, whatever you want to call them. I found that I did not need to cover it all the way back. I've got it far enough that the kayak will slide easily and slide far enough in without scratching. Should also note for the record that I do realize that my plywood boat is not actually a kayak, but I can't seem to help myself from using that term. Initially I was thinking I would use plywood on the sides, but when I got to the lumber yard, it was actually a little less expensive to use this deck board. And you can see how I've got it blocked up there so I don't have to hold it and clamped in place, so I can get it screwed and do my best to square it up at this point. This should give it the back and forth stability it needs so it won't collapse on me. The only reason I need any kind of siding is because I don't want my plywood boat or my wife's kayak to fill up with water during a rainstorm. So if there's a heavy downpour with sideways winds, I don't want water coming in and filling up the boat. I am, of course, giving a slight slant to the roof. I'll be the first to admit that at times my construction methods are a bit inelegant, but they get the job done basically. I've positioned it up against my shed here. I'll give it a little bit more protection. So in addition to kind of blocking these roof beams on there, or rafters, whatever you want to call them, adding a nail, toe-nailed, I think is the term for that method, where you hammer it in diagonally to attach it to that bottom piece. One technique I sometimes use to reduce the cost of materials and save a little weight is take a 2x4 and rip it in half. So I'm just cutting it in half lengthwise. You can do it pretty easily with one of these guides that you attach to your circular saw. And here you can see that I've used the ripped 2x4s to give some support to the roof panels, which is the next thing to install. Here is the mostly finished product. I would like to put a coat of paint on the treated plywood surfaces, just for some additional protection and durability. I'm also thinking about putting a swing out door here in the front. Now if you build something like this, you're going to want to size it for the boats that you have, but for whatever it's worth, dimensions of this one are approximately 40 inches wide, 10 feet long, and about 4.5 feet tall at the peak of the roof. That's it for this project. Thanks for watching and happy paddling.